Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Melissa. I'm Michael Navarre. Who are you?
Melissa Toohey.
Where are we?
We're at KIPP Ignite Academy in South LA.
Great. So listen, for my audience, I want you to know that sitting next to me is Melissa Toohey. She is the Big Grant Award winner from Farmers. She went through a process last summer, and I think December you had the surprise announcement, maybe not a big surprise, of winning the $100,000 grant for your application with the KIPP Academy. So thank you for having me come down here.
Yeah.
I wanted to come down to meet you and to congratulate you and to thank you. And also because we're in this process of, again, this year in 2017, having people nominate teachers, teachers nominate themselves in order to get the grant, to kind of like understand a little bit about what you do. Who you're doing it for, and what the process had been like, and what impact we're making on the community. So I'll describe the scene here a little bit, just for people that know me. I mean, you may know I'm a farmer's guy, run the agency in Beverly Hills, and what I'm so proud of our company that gives $1 million to teachers every single year. I'm sitting next to Melissa as one. It personally touches, my life, because I was married to a school teacher, a national board certified teacher. And when I was talking with our kid, who's 17, about what we're trying to do to encourage teachers in our community in order to apply for these grants, she was making calls. I have 4 interns making calls and going to the community to get them aware of these grants. And the response that we're getting, and at least from my kids, is like, what about the schools that really need the money? And so she was right on. So she was calling schools outside of her own schools that she went to and directing me to go here. And then that's when the light bulb went off. I need to come and meet the KIPP Academy right here. It's in South Central of LA. They served about 230 students at this LAUSD charter school, and it's a tiny campus. You guys actually have very little idea of what's outside these doors. Beautiful young kids dancing around when I arrived at music. I don't know what they were doing at that time, but that just told me that sort of embodied leading, teaching and learning that is happening here. So it's really innovative campus that is going on here. I don't know where the Farmers Grant money is going. You could talk about that later. I'm talking too much, so please tell me, Melissa, a little bit about yourself, about what you do.
Yeah, so I'm the coding, engineering, and design thinking teacher here at KIPP Ignite. Currently, we're kindergarten and first grade. Eventually, we'll be kindergarten through 4th grade as we grow. And my proposal was tablets for tiny tinkerers. So my goal was to get one-to-one tablets at my school for my students so that we could further our coding curriculum and give kids like real-life coding experiences that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise, because we are a public school and there is a lack of funding. So technology for my specialty class is not at the top of the priority list, even though we do have technology at our school. So I was just looking for an innovative way to get more technology in front of my children so that they could have more experiences to learn to code, learn to engineer, and to think and problem solve like engineers.
It's a whole language skill, right? Thinking and coding language?
Right, yeah.
How did you come up with that idea?
I actually worked at a private school previously, and I saw, we went one-to-one with iPads at my private school, and those parents were able to supply their children with their own iPads to bring to school, and here, because we are a public school, we can't ask that of our parents. So I just thought that, I noticed that when I taught with one-to-one iPads, the children were so much more engaged in what they were learning. They were able to explain what they learned, why they learned it, how it worked, where in traditional settings with paper and pencil, students are not thinking that deeply about their learning. And I just felt that my students deserve the very best STEAM education, and I believe in STEAM education, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. Integrated into their curriculum, because that's what our school is, a STEAM-based elementary school.
Have you, I think we talked about other grants, have you gotten much STEM industry support from, players in the industry? You talked a little bit about Google. How is that going for actually, thankfully Farmers was involved in this process.
Right.
But what about other like community involvement? Because there's such great science in LA and such great perhaps community, involvement. Is there anything like that happening here?
Yeah, I've reached out to other organizations just to align with what they're doing in LA, because, when you have more minds together, you get better things for our students. But I think what's challenging is at the kinder and first grade level, there is not a whole lot of content. So in a lot of ways, I'm creating my own content because people are not thinking about how do we teach coding to a kindergartner or to a 5-year-old? How are we teaching engineering skills to a 5-year-old? Where a lot of the content I'm coming across is more geared towards 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, where the students are more, I guess it's more developmentally appropriate for them to have more challenging content like that. Whereas I think a lot of people are not thinking about challenging kindergartners and 1st graders in that same way when we really should be developing those skills.
Now that you've done any of this, is there any value of other people coming to you to get content from you for what you're doing in this K through 1 grade?
Right now, I'm actually, next month, I'm presenting at South by Southwest EDU.
Whoa, I didn't know.
Yeah, so I'm actually really excited about that. I'm excited to share about what I'm doing there and connect with other leaders and connect with other people who are doing similar things as I am. But right now, it's been a little tricky finding other people who are in the same boat as me, because not a lot of people are doing it. So.
Not a lot are doing it. At least in my community, a lot of people really have identified this as an amazing area for skills. So you're a groundbreaking person. I'm glad that we're having you do that in LA. So for the, I'd like to talk a little bit about the grant, the impact that it had on you, personally and professionally. What did it mean to actually get the $100,000?
Yeah, I think it was amazing because I got to see our school community come together and rally and work hard for our students and because we all want our children to thrive and to learn and to think and problem solve so that they can give back to their community and they can solve issues within their own community. I think that was the most powerful piece for me, was seeing the parents get really involved and really rally up all their community and their friends and family to vote every single day. It was a lot of work. I won't lie. I came up with some really creative ways to get people involved. And it was every day. My first priority was, let's get everyone to vote. How do we do that? Luckily, I had the support of my team, of parents at our school, and of my farmer's insurance agent that sponsored my proposal, Mikey Ruiz.
And I'm going to mention this, and if you can agree to this, I'm already starting to document what ideas and ways that people can take it from the nomination to actually winning. So I'm going to have a documented approach to provide to any teacher, anybody that's nominated, to help that teacher go through the process. So you can come to me for that documentation. I'll be extracting from you some of those thoughts as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to send people to you. You've got your valuable time here in the classroom, but you already shared a little bit of information I started documenting. I might have some more questions for you on that, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah. But I think that's why you're doing this interviews, because you actually want to help other teachers, encourage them. So what was the nomination process like? Right now we have a simple nomination, $2,500 grant. We have until the end of February for someone to write 100 words on what they're doing. What would someone say in 100 words for a teacher to get a grant?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't have the answer to that question, but I think really dig deep to figure out what you want for your students and really, keep your eyes on the prize and write about, if you want a leveled library in your classroom, that is something that $2,000 could very easily get more text in front of your students. If you want, a few Chromebooks for your students so that they can continue their learning and integrate blended learning. I mean, the ideas are endless. I mean, I'm thinking of my own ideas as we're sitting here thinking about it. But I think just really identifying what the needs of your students are and trying to figure out with a really creative way to serve those needs.
I agree. And I think it's a great way for teachers to demonstrate their own idea brainstorming that they're trying to teach students do, and put something on paper. And it's as simple as putting something on paper to make that request of this teacher grant program. So I'll provide links to people to easily make that request for the teacher grant program. They're already doing something. Teachers are already doing something, whether it's to help students with their emotional intelligence, which is really big, programs to help for anti-bullying. Again, be really, really creative as to what's most important to you as a teacher, to help the students, to help the community. How do you think the community has been impacted so far? I know that the grant just hit in December, but what impact is actually happening here now that you have a $100,000 grant to work with?
Yeah, I think our parents are realizing the impact of the STEAM education that their students are getting STEAM education that they wouldn't necessarily get at another school. So I think they're much more invested in our STEAM program, where if you came into my classroom, you wouldn't necessarily know what I was teaching. But now that parents know and understand, like, they're much more excited and supportive behind it, if that makes sense.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Is it going to be hard for students to get into KIPP now that with what you're doing?
I don't know. We just had our lottery a few days ago, and
so it's a lottery.
Okay. So we're I hope that every child has an opportunity to get quality education.
That's great.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for the viewers. I don't know if we had anybody that actually were giving us a few shout outs and stuff like that. Usually these recordings actually, of course, get saved and responded to later on down the road. I encourage anybody to please go ahead and tag any teachers that you know as a comment in this post so they can see it, and then we'll get the information to them in order to make the nomination. We've got nominations now through February for the small grant, and then the big grant comes later in the summer, which Melissa was able to win. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Really appreciate it. Okay, contact us.
Good.
All right, that's good.